for the last award of the evening, the International Association Press Club's Freedom of Speech Awards. Łukasz Fikus already touched upon this tonight, the fact that when you have a world where you have Donald Trump addressing the United Nations as the President of the United States, where you have President Putin, arguably the adult of international diplomatic relations, well, you know that there's a bit of a problem. So it comes down to journalism and journalists to be true and accurate and fair, which is why international awards like this are so important, to recognize that and recognize the lengths that people go to get their stories in. Let's please welcome to the stage the President of the International Association of Press Clubs, Guy Metton.
Mr. President, dear guests and colleagues and friends, tonight we have the pleasure to award the struggle of Turkish journalist colleagues defending their rights to express themselves in their media. It's a great honor for me to be here for this important event and to congratulate them for their fight for freedom of expression. We know that this basic human right is not threatened in Turkey. That's the reason why it is so important to support them in that combat and to express our commitment. What our colleagues have achieved, taking personal risks, is a great example of courage and determination. In that respect, they deserved our full gratitude. But what I wish to say this evening is that their example should inspire all of us here. Because the threats against the press freedom are not only existing in Turkey, but inside all our countries. We Europeans, we like to think that we are the best democrats in the world, that we are the best journalists who respect the deontology rules and can give lessons of journalism to the rest of the world. This is wrong. This is a fake assertion. Because the press freedom is also in danger in our own countries. As we are in Poland, we know that politicians, and not only Turkish ones, are endangering press freedoms. In Poland too. Government and parliament parties are adopting laws which are serious threats for free journalism and free media. This must be also our concern. And Poland is not alone to have an alarming behavior toward the press. Israel, for example, whose government and conservative political parties are also attacking public TV channels and other media for bad reasons. And what about the United States, which have elected a president who is full of disdain towards journalists and media? What about Western Europe, France, Germany, Great Britain, Spain, or Switzerland, my country? We are also threatened as journalists because we are also victims of our own prejudices and blind agents of our own propaganda. If you look the way we are using to speak now about North Korea, about Iran, about Syria or Russia in our newspaper, it is just shameful for normal standards of journalists. We have so much incorporated the rules of the mainstream storytelling that we are now unable to put the story in question. We are so accustomed to think in dual terms of bad guys and good guys in
dobrzy
terms
i
of
źli
black and white,
w kategoriach
that we are
czarny i biały,
becoming unable to question
że nie
our
jesteśmy
own way of thinking.
zdolni kwestionować naszego własnego
One of the
sposobu myślenia.
greatest reporter of the media history,
Najlepszy
I
reporter
mean
w historii
Albert
mediów,
Londres, who gave his name to one of the most prestigious media awards, the
którego
Albert Londres
nazwisko
Prize,
opatruje jedno z najbardziej
has
prestiżowych
denounced
nagród dziennikarstwa.
the huge brainwashing created by the military general headquarters during the First World War in France. All the mainstream
Pierwszej wojny
newspapers
światowej we
in
Francji.
France were telling the same propaganda and the
Wówczas
same
mówiono w
fake
tych samych
news
kategoriach
to the
propagandy
public,
i
and
fałszywych
all these
informacji.
media were criticizing him until he was considered as a hero because he denounced the manipulation of the facts against his own colleagues. We are in the same situation now.
Jesteśmy w podobnej
Let's say in
sytuacji
Syria,
teraz.
we had the
przykład w Syrii.
so-called good rebels and the bad Assad.
Mieliśmy
Assad is not a
złego
good guy.
Asada,
He's a dictator.
to
But
dyktator.
this way of presenting
Ale
news
sposób
was
prezentowania
so wrong
był
that
tak
we
zły,
were unable
że nie
to
byliśmy
understand
w stanie
why
zrozumieć,
this Assad regime could
dlaczego to
succeed
reżim Asad
and is now succeeding against Daesh and conquering his
teraz
country.
mamy
I don't
do czynienia z
see
sytuacją, w której dochodzi do
it
podboju
was a support for
kraju.
Assad. That's not what I mean. But the
Nie chcę
way
przez
we
to
are using to
komentować
present the
samego
facts
Asada.
and
Natomiast
to
sposób
distorting them
prezentowania
is a
faktów
big concern.
jest
Same thing in
niewątpliwie
Libya.
źródłem obaw.
Same thing for Russia. I know
Podobnie
we are in
w Rosji.
Poland. Poland has suffered from Soviet times
Jesteśmy
and Russia in its
Polsce,
history.
Polska doświadczyła czasów
But
sowieckich,
let's say as we are presenting
ale
all
teraz,
the NATO propaganda against
jak na
Russia,
przykład prezentujemy
without
propagandę
giving them
NATO
the
przeciwko
possibility
Rosji,
to
nie
express
dając
their own opinion,
Rosji
their own
możliwości wyrażania
vision
swojej
in
opinii,
our
swojej
media. That's a
wizji.
problem,
To też jest
and
problem,
we have to face that.
przed którym musimy stanąć. stawić
Same
czoło.
thing in Yemen.
Analogicznie
Yemen is one of the worst cases now
Jemen
in
jest jednym z
bombing
najgorszych
civilian population.
przykładów w tym kontekście.
No words for criticizing
Trudno
the
znaleźć słowa
countries supported by the Western government.
w kontekście
So I
zachowania
think
zachodnich
the
rządów.
case
Myślę,
we
że
have, the Turkish, our Turkish
kontekst
colleagues has
turecki
to
naszych tureckich kolegów
are doing against their own
co
government,
robią
we have
w
to apply
kontekście
to
swojego rządu.
ourselves. That's the only message
Musimy to jakoś
I would
odnieść
like
też do siebie. To jest
to
jedyne
bring
przesłanie,
you
które
tonight.
chciałbym Państwu
It's
dzisiaj
also true
przekazać.
for me
Dla
as a
mnie to
Swiss
również
citizen,
znajduje zastosowanie
as
w moim
we
przypadku jako
incorporate
obywatela Szwajcarii.
all the, what I can say, the corporate news, I mean the bank, for
korporacyjne
instance, the
wiadomości,
Swiss bank or the
ten
Swiss
język
big corporates
szwajcarskich
in our
banków,
representation of the world, in our vision
ten
of the
punkt
world
widzenia, światopogląd na świat.
we impose in the media. I think there is also a social war. We are
Myślę, że jest
ignoring
też
the poor people.
ściana
We are
społeczna,
ignoring the
ludzie
battle of
biedni.
the rich people against the
Ignorujemy
poorest,
ich na tle najbogatszych.
people in the society, and that's
Najbiedniejsi
also
ludzie w
concern for
społeczeństwie.
our media.
To też jest
So I
trudność i wyzwanie.
will express my gratitude
Chciałbym
to the
wyrazić swoją
combat
wdzięczność
of the Turkish journalists against their own government,
tureckich
but
dziennikarzy.
also I will use this combat as a struggle, as an example for
Chciałbym
us
też
in
wykorzystać
our daily
ten kontekst
life
jako przykład
and
dla
daily
w przeniesieniu na życie
way
codzienne, nasze
we
życie
have
codzienne.
to use in our practice of journalism every day. So thank
w
you
naszym
very
życiu
much.
codziennym. Dziękuję Państwu bardzo.
Please welcome onto the stage Well Awad, who himself knows a thing or two when it comes to international reporting. I don't think there's a war zone that you are not familiar with. Well Awad, please welcome. Lovely to see you.
Good evening. Thank you very much for inviting me again to this auspicious gathering And I'm very proud and very happy and honored to be among all of you here, not only being a war reporters, but being a Syrian as well. And the only excuse I can say that I have not learned Polish yet. So if the love to the land of freedom and the love to the people of Poland is enough to exempt me from this difficult task, it's a difficult language, please accept me as a citizen of this country as well. Just a citizen for the day to speak on the freedom of speech, not only in Turkey and the rest of the world, and I'll echo what he was saying, the president, and also Yaroslav, about the freedom and the curbing of freedom of speech all over the world, and as it's happening not only in Turkey, but in the rest of the world. I live in a country in India. It's the largest democracy in the world. I lived there more than 3 decades, and I have been living and continue to live in that lovely country. And I have seen cases where last month we had a case of a journalist who was assassinated in Bangalore. But because of the media, because of the jurisdictional system in India, there's a full investigation to find out who have shot dead this journalist in Bangalore, and it will be found very soon. There are many other cases, actually, but because of the strong voices of the people, it has shown that we can change the world when we take issues of interest of the public, and we are here to empower the poor, not empower the powerful. If that is the message of a journalist, then we are able to solve many cases in the world and take our task far more to show to the world the lying in the United Nations General Assembly today in the session when I was sitting and watching for 2 hours all these speeches of the leaders, and I can assure you, and you will agree with me, that there is no cupboard of any country empty of a skeleton of an innocent person inside there. So therefore, we have a task to continue the challenge of reporting the truth on the ground, because I belong to a country where you have seen Syria getting destroyed in the name of terrorism, and terrorism become a tool, has been used by different nations for a regime change. I may not agree with my president, I may not agree with any of the policy of the Arab world as a whole, but definitely I will not also accept changes for a government by force, if not the people of Syria decide the future of their own country. And I am neighboring to a country where it has total curbs of the journalism and the media houses. In front of your eyes, a country called Turkey that have already used its territories as a sponsoring of terrorism. You have seen in the video, you have seen the arms being smuggled in a humanitarian corridors into Syria. They have used the refugees as a tool to send them influx into Europe, to blackmail you that these are the people of Syria has been used only for a wrong reason, for nothing of their, for no mistake they have done for themselves. Prior to 2011, we were the most secular, stable Arab country in the world, in the region, and everybody recognized us, that we have refused violence, extremism, and we continue to live in peace. But because of the war imposed after the Arab Spring, in most of the Arab country, we have seen how much of our colleagues have been suffering inside the jail. I don't want to spoil your evening, but I just wanted to focus more on Turkey. Turkey, ever since the stage coup, and I called it stage coup because if you follow me on Twitter, you will find not minimum of 5 or 6 stories a day I tweet about Turkey for the last 10 years. I mean, ever Twitter has been launched, if you give it that break, you will have 4 or 5 daily story about Turkey, what's going on inside Turkey. The moment the coup happened, we had 160,000 people are dismissed from their job. You had 158,000 people have been jailed. You had 60,000, actually the figure has given by the Turkish, but we have more than that, people have been taken into jail by the authority of Erdogan. And you have more than 8,650 academics have been lost their jobs, and you had more than 2,099 school, dormitories, and you had universities being shut down. And more than 302 journalists have been jailed, out of which 178 have been released, and they are still waiting for a trial. All of this, you have more than 2,500 journalists have lost their job because of the gagging of the media, of eliminating the opposition, and you have nobody to voice in Turkey. Thanks to the current regime, you have more than 90% now of the media in Turkey is a pro-government. The main objective of the government is to gag the opposition, eliminate any opposition to Erdogan government, and to present him as the de facto Khalifa of the Arab Islamic world, because we were looking at Turkey as a moderate, modernized Arab Islamic country, which have shown to the world that Islam can exist with democracy and in a civilized world. But the using of political Islam for personal gain have damaged the image and created and Islamophobia all over the world. And I'm here to give my support and my voice not only to the people of Turkey, but to the people inside the jail, and to echo our voice also. And we repeat what I said 2 years ago, that we may not agree with what you say, but we will definitely fight for your freedom. I thank the organizer for choosing Turkey, and I think this is the biggest honor. And our voice will reach them inside the jail, and we will be happy, all of us, to give them full support, because yesterday the Norwegian also presented the award for a Turkish journalist. And I'm sure with this award, Jaroslav, you have done a wonderful job. And thanks to Poland again for honoring the freedom and the freedom of expression for the rest of the world. Thank you very much.
Dr. Awad, thank you so much. Don't go away just yet. I'd like to thank you for your very passionate words, and I'd also like to invite all the presidents of the various international press associations and clubs that we have here tonight, and please bring with you the card that is on your tables if you can. It's this card, because we are going to do a photo, all of us in this room, as something that is tangible and something that at least people can see. So please, the presidents of the press clubs, if you could join me on the stage with Jaroslav as well, bring these cards. All of you too on your respective tables, hold these cards up.